Hey everyone, this is Molly Graves Pryor with another race analysis video, this time combining race number 10 and race number 11 footage into one. Race number 10 is what you're looking at right now, which is the first Trooper David Brinkerhoff race on April 9th, and later in the video we're going to be looking at the Castelli Series Cup, which is from the following day on April 10th. So the reason why I'm combining these two into one is actually pretty straightforward. One, unfortunately, as you can see, I only have the rear cam footage from the Trooper race because, like a moron, I accidentally put the front camera into photo mode rather than video mode. So that's why only the rear cam footage is here. With the front cam, I just have a JPEG. So, I'm really sorry about this one because, so much went down in this race. I wish I could share it in an upload. But here's a few minutes worth of snippets of the rear cam. And just to give you some background on this, this race was it was low to mid 40 degrees, and it actually started off, as you can see, as only a very, very light drizzle. So I'm actually thinking, as we're pulling out, well, there's no reason for me to bring my rain jacket, which was in the car, not 20 feet away from the start line. No reason to bring the rain jacket, especially since the forecast is saying that at worst, we're just going to get a light drizzle. Well, that was a big, big, big mistake. So, as we're rolling around in the first lap, within the first few minutes, things went from reasonable, which is what you see right now, to bad, and again to worse, and then almost to downright apocalyptic. So, like I said, this is just the first few minutes of the race. We're just getting started. Everyone is kind of feeling their oats at the moment and trying to get themselves open and so on and so forth. You can see the wind is coming from a south to a southwesterly direction, but like I said, it just got worse. So within a couple of minutes, literally just like maybe 2 to 3 minutes later, it went from very light rain to torrential downpour, as you can see. And again, this is all within the first lap, within the first few minutes of the first lap. Again, they just went off the rails. And so, by this point, the rain is coming down, so hard. I can actually feel the rain just permeate every single layer of clothing that I had. I was wearing a wool thermal. I had, wool socks on, and I had a double layer of gloves on as well. And all of it just soaked up the water, like a sponge. So, as you can see here, it actually, like I said, it went from reasonable to bad to worse. This is maybe like 10 minutes after the last little snippet. And basically, at this juncture, I actually started experiencing symptoms of hypothermia. That was basically like my whole body, especially my hands were violently shaking, so badly that I was actually terrified of taking my hands off of the bars to reach for a gel or a drink. I had 6 gels on me and two fill bottles of drink. And so, because I'm like shaking so hard, and the wind is also blowing, as I mentioned, it was blowing very strongly. I basically did the entire 50-mile road race with no nutrition. And so, at the end of the day, at the end of the race, I was actually pretty out of it. I had to be helped into the van, someone else's van actually, for one of the cycling teams to basically warm up and get out of my wet clothes. They were just like, okay, lean on me, walk with me. I remember them saying that, but I don't remember actually like walking over to where they were because they saw me like shivering so violently in the car. And it actually took about an hour and a half for me to warm up and to stop shaking. And this was after I had actually changed into dry clothes. So, as you can see right here, this is all literally within the first 15 minutes of the first lap. Each lap is like 12 miles long, and it was just it was just Armageddon. So, you know, I honestly don't really remember that much about the race. I do remember a few bits here and there. So as you can imagine, in these conditions, I was on the edge of quitting multiple times. But somehow or other, and I really don't remember how, but somehow or other I was able to grit it out and finish 12th. I did have an opportunity, and I was actually in position to get 6th place, but I got basically nipped in the final 200 meters or so by the chase break I was with, and had pulled away from them with like maybe half a mile to go or so. So, you know, the reason why I did that is because, you know, as I've mentioned before, since I'm not a sprinter, I don't trust that I can win in a sprint scenario. So, you know, going early was my best shot. It just didn't happen to pan out in that situation, unfortunately. But that being said, elements aside, the Trooper David Brinkerhoff race is absolutely worth it. It's a great course, phenomenal organizers. And in fact, the second and final race will be just in a couple of days, April 23rd, from the day that I'm actually recording this audio track. So, you know, I'll hopefully have the full and normal footage from the second race. So moving forward, as I mentioned before, this is a twofer video with the second half that we're about to begin, basically including footage from the Castelli Series Cup, which was the following day. And oh boy, let me tell you, the lack of nutrition that I had on this race at Trooper, as well as battling the elements, it basically caught up with me big time the following day. So this is going to be a short video because I just wanted to highlight a few things from the Castelli race, but as you can imagine, there was no result there, just hanging on for sweet life, basically. So we're actually going to transition right over to the beginning of the Castelli race right now. And what you can basically see is that, you know, we're at the start of the Castelli race. You know, they're just letting us know, they're taking photos of the people that are in the KOM, the yellow, and so on and so forth. And at this point, I had a pretty bad warm-up, just getting to Prospect Park. So I wanted to open my legs up and really just hope for the best, you know, because I was just feeling really sore. So that's why you can see right here, as we're kind of going along, basically I just out of the gate started applying power. And it wasn't from, you know, a desire to kind of like put a hurt on or gap the field or anything like that. It was really because I was just like, I need to stretch my legs. And hopefully my legs will, you know, that they'll just open up. So you can see, you know, I'm, you know, doing 400 watts. I had a couple of pops up there and like the 600, 700 watts, trying to like open up. Again, my warm up was like 9 miles or so to get to the park. And, you know, you can see right now I'm down on like the 200s and the 300s. Yeah, this warm up didn't really go so well. At this point, I was in so much pain. I mean, every part of me, literally, and we're only talking about being like maybe a minute into the race, every part of me was just screaming, DNF, for the love of God, please DNF. And for those of you that don't know, DNF means did not finish. And that was basically, quite literally, the story of the day. It was just unbelievable agony and questioning my life choices, and at several points during the race just basically saying I need to stop. This is too much. You know, I'm in a lot of suffering. Things really sore. I've got to stop. But you can see here, you know, I'm actually thinking, okay, the field should be coming around any minute now. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, field, you know, just gobble me up, please. You know, I'm not going anywhere. But, you know, as you can see, no one was coming. And I actually looked back quite a few times and I realized how massive of a gap I had. But I just had no ability to capitalize on this. And this is actually one of those gaps where if I had gone off like that at the start of basically a race where I was coming in fresh, that field likely would have never caught me, because the gap was from, I think at its peak was around 45 seconds from the very beginning. And you can basically keep a 45-second lead in Prospect Park fairly easily. It's really, really difficult to close that down. But I just had no staying power. So, I'm looking at this and I'm just like, yeah, if I'd been healthy, I would have been going full tilt with this gap and doing everything I could to hold on to it. But instead, I was just waiting. And you can see right here, this was about as dangerous as I got on the day. So, as the field was coming on, you saw I did a little dig of some power just to make sure that I could latch on. But honestly, that was about it. So, this being about as dangerous as I got on the day, and just being like, okay, maybe I should just pack it in or just hold on for dear life. Basically, we're just going to skip ahead. I just wanted to show this to you. Just so you could see like how the day began and how egregiously basically the results from the prior day had left me, or I should say how deep of a hole they left me in. So just skipping ahead, this is actually in just a second. This is actually just a few laps later, and I just wanted to show when we were coming up the gap climb in Prospect Park. This is actually when a 10-man breakaway formed. And you don't usually see a breakaway of that size form. And I actually started seeing it happen in real time. But as you can see, I'm putting out, 600 watts or so, and you can see I'm putting out some power, but it was so agony inducing that it really was like nigh torture just to hold my position, let alone make up any ground. And, I see the split forming, and I just couldn't do anything about it. You can see right here, people are going around me, and I'm actually out of the saddle holding 400 watts. I mean, this is usually something I can do like in my sleep, seated. And I'm just like grinding. My cadence is awful. I'm just like, oh God, there it goes. But there was just nothing I could do. So, so I see that split forming, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Part of me was actually hoping that all of the fast people went with the split, because I was just like, I really need some relief. Everything is I'm just like literally suffering right now. Just please let all of the fast people just go up the road, so I can actually kind of sit in and maybe just do something akin to a glorified group ride for the rest of the race. So that was about it. I really just wanted to show how that winning break went off. And so there are a few other things that I wanted to show in this, but again, this is going to be really, really, really short today. So we're actually going to skip ahead or I should say, we're going to skip ahead a few more laps. But basically, what you're looking here is like you can see my power. I'm struggling to even like crest over 300 right here, and I'm trying my best to move up a few spots so that just in case there's a future split, that I won't necessarily have to make up as many bikes to hold on. I won't get dropped so easily. So again, that being said, basically what happened for the rest of the race is that there were a few surges here and there. There were some teams here, or not teams, but there were some individuals here and there that were definitely trying to, bridge up. But, it didn't really go anywhere. So this was actually a few laps later, like I said, again, going up gap. There were some people trying to bridge up. And this is actually one where I almost got dropped off entirely. just dropped by the field. And you can see I'm actually out of the saddle, but you're looking at my power, and I'm actually I'm basically at threshold, and I'm barely producing threshold out of the saddle. So my legs were just heavy and sore, and just honestly refusing to function the whole race. So I was actually afraid I would get dropped with 2 to go or so, but somehow or other, thankfully, I was able to make contact. But right here, I'm just like, oh no, I maybe I should have just DNF'd rather than kind of suffer the indignity of getting dropped multiple times in the field. But yeah, somehow or other, I was able to find some additional energy, and just coming around. The only thing I was thinking, I do remember explicitly, my head was just down. I was just, looking down at my legs and just saying, okay, just get me there, please, just make contact. And, you can see right here, thankfully, everyone just kind of, sat up after that climb, and that was that. So, just basically being able to make contact, slot in, take a breather, and just hope to God that there would be no more surges in the rest of the race. And you know what? Thankfully, that's basically what happened for the rest of the race. My dreams had come true on this day just a little bit. So I did end up moving up here just a little bit, the same way that I had done a few laps prior. And that was really just so I could have some buffer. So in case another surge happened at some point later on in the race, I would have some people to latch onto and not have to actually end up getting disconnected from the field. So that being said, we're going to skip ahead. And this is actually I think it's just basically the end of that lap. And at this point, I think everyone had kind of had enough. I just wanted to show it to you because I was actually kind of laughing a little bit inside. There have been multiple laps where people were just going at 20, 22, and so on and so forth. Well, here we are. We're actually climbing gap at 15 to 17 miles an hour. Which just for some feedback or just for some insight, 15 to 17 miles an hour in a race, that's turtle slow, and that's for any field, let alone a Masters field. And the Masters are generally really, really fast compared to other fields. But yeah, I think everyone had just had enough of the pace and trying to chase the breakdown. But again, you have 10 Masters up the road, you're not catching them. That's just not going to happen. So but I was honestly, I'm sitting here and I was literally just thanking my lucky stars, and finally thinking to myself, it was okay, because over the past few laps I had just been okay, I should just DNF here. I'm right at the start line, I should just DNF, but then I would just keep going. So at this point I'm all right, well, there's only one more lap to go, so let me just finish this. Let me just end the suffering, not with indignity, but at the very least just crossing the line in some way, shape, or form. So we're coming back around. The start line is we're going to be coming up through the start line, and the only thing I'm thinking about at this point is, all right, just one to go. Just keep it together, please. Just keep it together. So we're going to skip ahead to the final climb, up and over gap, and then through to the finish. So again, part of the reason why, like I said, there's really not much to share or show Just because I didn't get really the footage that would have, I think, made a quality video for Trooper, and in the Castelli race I was just suffering the whole day long. But part of the reason why I wanted to record this is because I basically just wanted to say, let this be a lesson to everyone about how critical fueling is. Because basically having depleted my muscle glycogen the day before, because I rode that race with no food and no drink, without eating it, I should say. It was on me. I just didn't reach for it because I was so afraid of crashing if I took my hands off the bars. I had to go so deep into the well, to fuel that Trooper race, that there was nothing left for the Castelli race the next day, and it just didn't matter how much recovery drinks or gels or anything I tried to eat after the Trooper race. There's only a certain amount of there's only a certain amount of energy conversion that your body can do within a certain amount of time, and so depleting my muscle glycogen in that way, it just left me in a hole. And so that's what you're basically seeing here. This is, like I said, let this be a lesson about the dangers of not eating and not fueling properly when you are racing. But that's just how a weekend of pure suffering went, with a lot of lessons learned, that's for sure. So finally, we're coming around, at the final sprint. We're coming off of the gap climb, making our way around, and this was actually commented on in real time. It's actually something that I agreed with. You can see people are lining up for some reason or other, getting ready to sprint. But considering that all of the points places were taken by that break of 10 that had gone off in lap 3 or so, it honestly didn't make any sense whatsoever for people to be sprinting. But I mean, hey, c'est la vie. So I end up crossing the line here. I just put in a little bit of power just so I could cross with some speed and at least have some semblance of dignity after that. But we're at the end of this recap. Again, capturing, as I said, this weekend of suffering. And if you enjoy these videos, again, please like, comment, and subscribe. I did want to say that the next video is going to be an absolute barn burner, so I hope you stick around for it. It's CRCA Club Race number 3 with tons of tactics, long breakaways, counters, and I get to lead out my teammate at the end. So with that being said, before we go this time, you get to hear my grunts and full body agony to boot. So there's more to come this season. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.
Okay, I'll be back at the start line.